I am going to tell you about the night I woke up in a hospital room and discovered that a stranger had been praying over me for 16 days. I am going to tell you about Sarah Chad, who knew my name before I knew hers, and who touched my head like she was touching something holy. I am going to tell you because I am 46 years old, and I have killed men for less than what I am about to admit. I have never been more afraid than I was in the moment I realized I did not want her to stop. But first you need to understand what I was before she found me. Seoul in November is brutal. The wind comes off the Han River with teeth, searching for gaps in glass towers, finding the spaces between collars and necks. It is a city of surfaces, polished marble, neon reflected in puddles, the smooth faces of people who have learned not to react. I was one of those surfaces. Kim Soo-hyun, a name spoken in rooms where men calculated risk. A name that moved through the city's underground like current through wire, unseen, undeniable, capable of burning anyone who touched it without preparation. I had built this name the way my father taught me, without explanation, without apology, without the weakness of being understood. By 32, I controlled 3 districts. By 40, I answered to no one living. By 46, I had become the kind of man who ate alone, not because he preferred it, but because he had forgotten how to do otherwise. Welcome back, Story Family. And if you're new here, hey, we're glad you found us. Make sure you subscribe, like, and drop a comment before you leave. New stories hit this channel all the time, and trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming. And after you watch, tell us what you thought. Your comment might be exactly what someone else needed to hear today. And by doing this, you help more people locate this wonderful story. So don't hold back. Let's talk about it. The penthouse was 40 floors above the city. At night, I would stand at the window with whiskey in a cheap glass, an affectation I kept from my father's time when money was new and everything had to prove itself. And I would watch Seoul breathe. The traffic below moved like blood through arteries. The lights flickered in patterns that suggested life, intention, meaning. I stood above it all and wondered if a man could spend his entire life being powerful and still die, having never once been known. I did not expect an answer. I had stopped expecting answers years ago. The warehouse in Incheon was a trap. I recognized it the moment I stepped inside. The particular silence of 50 men holding their breath. The arrangement of shadows that was too deliberate to be accidental. Someone close had spoken. Someone I had trusted. Or at least someone I had not feared enough. The mathematics of betrayal are simple once you accept that everyone has a price. I simply had not expected mine to be discovered so soon. What happened next is documented on security footage that men still speak of in low voices. 47 men. I moved through them like something that had been waiting its whole life to be released. Each takedown precise. Each movement carrying the terrible efficiency of a man who had trained for violence the way other men train for survival. Until violence became survival. Until the distinction no longer mattered. But I was 46, and my body, unlike my will, kept an honest ledger. The last 3 men found me on my knees. My arms were shaking with an exhaustion too deep to push past. My head was bowed not in surrender but in the simple physics of a machine that has finally consumed its fuel. They finished what the others could not. I do not remember the blows. I remember the floor, cold concrete, the taste of iron, the distant sound of a door opening, someone arriving too late to help, and just in time to find what remained. 2 hours later, I was airlifted to a facility that does not appear in official records. The doctors spoke about swelling and time. My lieutenants stood in the hallway and spoke about succession. My enemies sent white flowers. Lilies, I am told, the kind that smell like funerals. A woman I had protected for years and never touched changed her phone number. She did not visit. She did not send flowers. She simply erased herself from my story. And I cannot blame her. I was placed in room 7. The machines breathed for me. The monitors kept their vigil. The city continued its indifferent rotation, and I lay in the dark, suspended between the man I had been and whatever came next. Nobody prayed. This is not a complaint. Prayer was not a part of the world I had built. My father had taught me that God was a luxury for people who could afford to be weak, and I had believed him, because believing him was easier than discovering otherwise. I had made my peace with absence. I had constructed an empire on the assumption that I was alone, that I would always be alone, that aloneness was the price of the power I had accumulated. What I had not anticipated was Sarah Chad. She came on a Tuesday, or a Wednesday. Hot, I am uncertain of the days now. The coma does not keep calendar. She came because she was assigned to the private wing, because her cart needed to roll down corridors that emptied after midnight, because she was a 38-year-old woman from Accra who had crossed through Istanbul to reach this city, and who sent money home every 2 weeks to a daughter she had not held in 3 years. She came because she was invisible in the way that service workers are invisible, seen only as function, never as presence. She was not told my name. She was told only that room 7 needed cleaning, and that she should be quiet. She was always quiet. I am told, she told me later, when we had learned to speak to each other, that on that first night she finished mopping the floor and stood beside my bed and looked at my face. The bruises, the thick hands lying still at my sides, the machine standing guard where people should have been. She did not know what I had done. She did not know what had been done to me. She knew only what she had always known, that a person lying alone in the dark deserved to have someone speak kindness over them, even if they could not hear it. She reached out her hand. She rested it on my head. And then Sarah Chad, who I did not know, who I could not hear, who I would not remember for 16 days, bowed her own head and began to pray. But before I tell you about her prayer, you need to understand what preceded it. You need to understand the warehouse. Incheon in November smells like salt water and rust, and the cold, particular to port cities. A cold that does not merely lower temperature but seems to strip things down to their essential truth. The warehouse sat 3 blocks from the waterfront, between a shipping container yard and a building that had stopped pretending to be anything. I stepped inside at 11:47. I know the time because I checked my watch at the door. A habit from years of meetings where being 1 minute early was a message and being 1 minute late was an insult. The silence told me everything. 50 men do not make no sound. They make the specific sound of held breath and deliberate stillness, which is its own kind of noise if you have spent enough years learning to hear it. I stood in the entrance for perhaps 3 seconds, long enough to count the shadows, long enough to trace the geometry of the arrangement and understand its intention, long enough to know that someone close had spoken, and that the mathematics of what followed had already been decided by someone else's calculation. I stepped forward anyway. What choice was there? The first man came from the left. I broke his grip at the wrist and put him down before he finished moving. The second came from behind. I stepped into it, redirected, and he met the floor at an angle that ended his involvement. The third and fourth arrived together, which people believe gives them an advantage. It does not. It gives me a geometry problem I have solved 1,000 times. I moved through them. This is not pride. This is simply the account of a machine performing the function it was built for. My father had trained violence into me the way other fathers train work ethic, through repetition, through punishment for failure, through the steady understanding that the alternative to competence was something worse. I had learned, and in that warehouse for perhaps 12 minutes that the security footage would later compress into something men watched with a silence they could not explain, I was exactly what decades of that education had made me. 44 men. I do not remember them individually. I remember the rhythm of it, the way each encounter arrived and was resolved, the way the room kept coming and I kept answering, the way my body moved through what felt, in the moment, less like a fight and more like a tide moving through a fixed space. Inevitable. Impersonal, complete. Then my legs slowed. Not suddenly, not dramatically. The way a machine slows, incrementally, with a kind of mechanical honesty that has nothing to do with will or intention. My arms had begun to tremble somewhere around the 38th man. I had noted it the way you note weather. Adjusted, continued. But I was 46, and the body, unlike the will, keeps an honest ledger. The last 3 found me on my knees. My head was bowed, not in surrender. I want to be precise about that. Not in defeat. Simply in the physics of a machine that has consumed every unit of available fuel and has nothing left to negotiate with. I was kneeling on cold concrete in a warehouse in Incheon, and I remember thinking, with the strange clarity that arrives at the edges of consciousness, that I had always known this warehouse existed somewhere, had always known there would be a night like this. I had simply not expected it to smell like salt water. The blows that followed are not something I can account for in sequence. There was concrete against my cheek. There was the taste of blood, copper and familiar. The taste of every lesson my father ever taught me. There was a door somewhere, opening. Footsteps that arrived with the particular hurry of someone who had been following at a careful distance and was now closing that distance too late to matter. My lieutenant, Hyun-sik, 23 years old. He tells me he thought I was dead. He called for the helicopter from the car. The facility outside Seoul has no name on its exterior. The doctors there have learned not to ask questions about the patients who arrive by air in the middle of the night, with injuries that do not appear in any official record. They worked on me for 6 hours. They spoke in the careful, hedged language of people accustomed to stating facts without attaching hope to them. Swelling, time, the necessary patience of waiting. They placed me in room 7. The room had no windows, a single door, monitors that glowed blue in the dark like cold stars, keeping their rhythmic account of a body that was still technically present in the world. The machines breathed. I did not. Not on my own. Outside in the hallway, a city that had spent 20 years fearing my name was already, quietly, beginning to move past it. Inside the room, there was only the blue light, the steady sound of the machines, and the particular, absolute loneliness of a man who had built his entire life on the premise that needing no one was the same as being strong. The room did not argue with him. It simply waited. I will tell you who came, and then I will tell you what they did, and you will understand, better than any explanation I could offer, exactly what kind of life I had built for myself by the time Sarah Chad walked down that corridor with her cleaning cart. The doctors came first, as they always do. 3 of them, rotating in shifts, speaking in the particular language of medical professionals who have been quietly instructed that the man in room 7 does not officially exist. They used words like pressure and time, and we will know more when we know more. They did not speculate, they did not comfort. They performed competence with the precision of people who understood that competence was what they were being paid for, and that everything else was someone else's responsibility. Nobody told them to sit beside me. Nobody thought to. My lieutenants came in shifts, 4 of them cycling through the private wing in 2-hour intervals, arriving with their faces arranged carefully into expressions of concern. I have since learned to read the difference between a man who is afraid for you and a man who is afraid of what your absence means for him. It is a small difference. It lives in the eyes, just behind the part that is performing. They stood at the threshold of room 7. None of them crossed it fully. None of them pulled a chair to the bedside. They looked at the machines, at the monitors, at the shape of me under the hospital blanket. And then they looked at each other. And the calculation began. Who moved up? Who was exposed? What decisions could not wait? And what decisions required a signature that I was currently unable to provide? They were not cruel men. I want to be fair about that. They were simply men who had been trained, by me, in a world built by me, to treat vulnerability as a problem to be managed, rather than a condition to be witnessed. I had taught them well. Haiwan, my second, 15 years at my side, did not enter the room at all. He stood in the hallway with his phone pressed to his ear, and his voice dropped to the register menus when they are saying things they would prefer not to be remembered. I did not hear this at the time. I was told later, in pieces, by people who owed me honesty they had been withholding. Taewon was negotiating, not for my recovery, not for the name of whoever arranged the warehouse in Incheon. He was negotiating the future, his version of it, 15 years. And the calculation had apparently been running longer than I knew. The white flowers arrived on day 3. Lilies. No card. The nurses placed them in the hallway because nobody had given instruction about flowers and they needed somewhere to put them. They smelled like funerals, which was, of course, the precise intention of the people who sent them. The lawyer came on day 5. Briefcase, papers. He spoke to Taewon in the hallway for 11 minutes and left without entering room 7. And then there was the woman. She called twice. The first call lasted 4 seconds, long enough to hear the voicemail begin, not long enough to leave a message. The second call lasted 2 seconds. After that, her number was disconnected. She did not visit. She did not send flowers, white or otherwise. She simply, quietly, cleanly, without drama, erased herself from the story. I do not blame her. I had never given her reason to stay. By the second night, the corridor had emptied. The lieutenants had gone. The doctors were between rounds. The hallway held only the particular silence of a place where important things are happening and nobody is watching. Then, a sound. Small and unhurried. Wheels on a clean floor. A woman nobody had looked at twice turned the corner with her cart, moving toward the private wing with the steady, purposeful quiet of someone who had learned long ago that the most important rooms are often the ones everybody else has already left. Has anyone ever stayed when they had every reason to leave? Tell me in the comments. I want to hear it. Her name was Sarah Chad, and she had learned to carry large things in small spaces. Accra had given her the foundation of it. Not wealth, her family had never had much of that, but a particular kind of rootedness that some places press into their people like a fingerprint. The smell of the market on Saturday mornings. Her mother's voice calling her name from 3 houses away. The church on the corner where she had first learned that prayer was not a performance for God, but a conversation with Him, and that He was not hard of hearing. She had left at 35, not because she wanted to, but because her daughter was 2 years old, and the numbers did not add up, and the placement agency in Accra had a contract, and the contract had a number at the end of it that changed what was possible. Istanbul first. 8 months in a private household where she was treated correctly, but never warmly. Then Seoul, where a second contract waited, and where the city received her with the particular mixture of curiosity and indifference that she had learned to navigate without shrinking. Her daughter's name was Abena, 7 years old now, gap-toothed and loud and being raised by Sarah's mother on money wired every 2 weeks, and love delivered every Sunday through a phone screen. Sarah had not held her in 3 years. She had learned to carry that, the way you carry something that does not get lighter. Not by pretending it is light, but by deciding that the carrying is worth it. At the hospital, she was invisible in the way that service workers are invisible, seen as function, rarely as presence. The doctors passed her cart in the hallway without adjusting their stride. The administrators signed her rotation sheets without looking up. She had made her peace with this. Invisibility, she had discovered, was a kind of freedom. It allowed her to move through rooms fully, watching, noticing, present, in ways that people performing importance rarely manage to be. The night nurses knew her differently. They had learned, over 3 years, to look for her smile when their shifts turned heavy. She had a way of arriving in the break room at the precise moment the silence became too loud, setting down something she had warmed in the staff microwave, soup or rice, or the spiced biscuits she ordered online from a Ghanaian grocery in Taiwan, without announcement or requirement of gratitude. She simply left warmth in rooms and moved on. Her faith worked the same way. It was not something she announced. It was something she did. The way she always paused at the door of a room where someone was alone. The way her hands, when she prayed, were steady rather than urgent. The hands of someone who had been doing this long enough to know that God did not require performance. She had done this in Accra, in Istanbul. In every care home and hospital corridor she had worked, she had paused at the doors of forgotten people and spoken quietly into the dark on their behalf. She had never thought of it as remarkable. It was simply what you did. On a Tuesday in November, she was assigned to the private wing. She was given a room number. She was not given a name. She asked no questions. She never needed names to do what she came to do. She wheeled her cart to room 7. She pushed the door open. She stepped inside, and she saw him. The bruised face, the thick, scarred hands lying motionless at his sides. The machines arranged around him like sentinels, breathing on his behalf, keeping their cold blue vigil over a body that had clearly once been capable of extraordinary things and was now entirely, utterly still. She did not see a dangerous man. She did not see a criminal, or a myth, or a body to clean around. She saw what she always saw when she stood in rooms like this: a person lying alone in the dark. Someone the world had left running on machines while it went about its business in the hallway. She had never been able to walk past that. She finished mopping. She parked her cart. She walked to the side of his bed, and she reached out her hand, steady, unhurried, certain, and rested it on his head. Then she bowed her own head and she asked God simply to be gentle with this man. "Oh, because he looked," she said later, "like someone who had not been treated gently in a very long time. She came every night. I need you to understand what that means. Not as sentiment, as fact. 16 nights. 16 times she wheeled her cart down that corridor, mopped that floor, and stood beside a man who could not acknowledge her. 16 times she placed her hand on my head and spoke into the dark without any certainty that the dark was listening. This is what those nights looked like. Night 1, simple, brief, a stranger's prayer for a stranger's healing. She did not know my name. She asked God to be gentle with me anyway. Then she picked up her cart and left. That was all. It was enough to change everything. Night 3, she noticed my face, the furrow between my brows. Deep, carved by years of decisions made in rooms where the wrong answer had permanent consequences. The jaw held tight, even in unconsciousness, the way a man holds himself tight when he has spent so long on guard that his body has forgotten it is permitted to rest. She prayed for that specifically, for the unclenching, for whatever knot had been pulled tighter with each passing year, to finally, in this room, in this silence, be allowed to loosen. She had no idea how long that knot had been there. Night 5, she began to wonder about him, not his crimes. She told me later she did not think about that. Not once, which I found impossible to believe until I understood the kind of woman she was. She wondered about the before, about the child who became the man who became the myth, about what had happened to him long before any warehouse in Incheon. She prayed for that child, the one nobody else remembered to consider. Night 8, she noticed something. After prayer, the furrow between my brows was softer. The jaw had released fractionally the way a fist uncurls in sleep. She was a practical woman. She did not attribute this to imagination or wish. She noted it the way you note a change in weather, observed, filed, returned the next night to see if it held. It held. Night 10. She began to speak to me. Not prayer, conversation, the same quiet, unhurried way she spoke to her daughter on Sunday screens. She told me about Accra, about the market smell, pepper and fish, and something sweet she could never fully name. About Abena's laugh, which she described as too big for her body, would like it borrowed volume from somewhere else. She did not know if I heard. She spoke anyway, because some things, she had learned, need to be said out loud whether or not anyone is listening. Night 12. This is the night I need you to pay attention to. Her prayer shifted. Midway through, without plan, without announcement, she stopped asking for my healing and began asking for her own endurance, for strength to keep sending money home when her own account ran thin, for patience with a city that looked through her, for the grace to be a good mother to a child she could only love through a screen, and to not let the guilt of that distance hollow her out entirely. She was praying for two broken people. She only knew about one of them. But grief, spoken honestly in the dark, is the most human language there is. And something in that room, in me, beneath the silence and the machines and 16 years of constructed distance, recognized it. The way you recognize your own handwriting. Night 14, I woke. Not dramatically. Consciousness arrived the way light arrives under a door. Thin at first, then widening, then suddenly present in a way that cannot be taken back. I lay still. I did not open my eyes. I listened. Machines? My own breathing, raw and unfamiliar. Jaewon's voice in the hallway. Low, careful, negotiating things I was not supposed to hear. Then her footsteps. Unhurried, as always. The familiar sound of the cart. The mop crossing the floor. Then her hand on my head. Then her voice. I did not move. I told myself it was caution, that I needed to understand the room before I announced myself in it. This was a lie I permitted myself. The truth was simpler. For the first time in longer than I could account for, someone was speaking about me without wanting anything from me. And I was not ready for it to stop. Night 15. She came again. I lay still again. She prayed again. For my waking. For whatever waited for me on the other side of this room. For the part of me she sensed was still worth reaching. I received every word. I said nothing. Night 16. Her final prayer before I spoke, she asked God to let me wake up to something better than what had put me here. She said, whatever he was before this room, let him be something gentler after it. Let him find someone who will stay. She lifted her hand from my head. She picked up her cart. And I lay in the dark. And I thought about a woman who had prayed over a stranger for 16 nights without asking for a single thing in return. And I thought, I know her name now. And I thought, tomorrow I will open my eyes. Let me tell you what it is like to wake up inside a body that has been silent for 2 weeks. It is not like surfacing. It is not dramatic. There is no gasp, no sudden light, no moment of cinematic return. It is simply, and then not simply at all, a slow awareness that you are present, that the darkness has texture, that the sounds in the room have source and meaning and implication, that you are alive, and that someone in the hallway is already planning around your absence. Jaewon's voice reached me before anything else did. Low, careful. The specific register of a man who believes the person he is betraying cannot hear him. And I had used that register myself, in other rooms, in other lives. I recognized it the way you recognize a technique you invented. I did not move. I lay with my eyes closed. And I listened to 15 years of loyalty being quietly, efficiently, professionally dissolved. Contracts, names. A meeting that had already been scheduled for a date that assumed I would not be attending. The machines kept their rhythm around me. I kept mine. And then, her footsteps. I had been listening to them for 2 nights, without knowing I was listening. The particular cadence of someone who is not afraid of where they are going. Unhurried, even. The footsteps of a woman who has walked through difficult rooms for long enough that the difficulty no longer quickens her pace. The cart's wheels on the corridor floor. The door of room 7 opening with the same soft pressure it always did. Then the mop. Back and forth. The small domestic rhythm of it, filling the room with the sound of someone simply doing the next necessary thing. I had forgotten what that sounded like. The sound of someone doing something because it needed doing, without calculation, without audience. Then her hand. I want to be precise about what I felt when she placed her hand on my head, because I have spent my life being precise about things that mattered. And this matters more than most. It was warm. That is the first word. Warm in the way of something that carries its own heat rather than borrowing it. And it was, I searched for the right word for a long time after. And the only one that fits is still. Her hand was still, not tense with purpose, not positioned for extraction, and simply present. Every touch I had received in my adult life had been either violence or transaction. I had not noticed the gap this created until something fell into it. I did not flinch. I did not calculate. I simply lay there and felt it, and the part of me that calculated things went very quiet. Night 15. She prayed for my healing, for my waking, for whatever it is in him that is still worth saving. And those words arrived in me like a key in a lock I had forgotten I was carrying. I followed each word not with the part of my mind that runs numbers and reads rooms and decides who can be trusted, but with something older, something I had sealed off so long ago that I had stopped believing it was still there. It was still there. I let her words land on it, one by one, without deflecting them. This, I realized, was the most dangerous thing I had ever done. Night 16. She spoke before she prayed. She told me she hoped I was somewhere peaceful inside the dark. That wherever the mind goes, when the body is waiting to return, she hoped mine had found somewhere quiet. Somewhere I could rest without being on guard for the first time in however long it had been since I had last managed that. I did not know how to calculate how long that had been. She began to pray, and this time it was different. This time she drew both of us into it, me and herself and her daughter in Accra, and toward all the people holding themselves together in a world that does not slow down to ask how they are. She made room in the prayer for everyone carrying something heavy in the dark. She made room for me next to herself, which no one had ever done. I lay still, and something moved in me that I have no adequate name for. It was not weakness. I want to be clear about that. It was older than weakness and stronger than strength. It was the specific feeling of a man who has been performing survival for so long that he has forgotten what it feels like to simply be a person. Being reminded. She lifted her hand, and my hand. Thick, scarred, the hand that had broken things, and men and promises, and the occasional jaw, moved 1 centimeter across the sheet toward where hers had been. She did not see it. She had already turned away. But it happened. For the first time in 20 years, Kim Soo-hyun reached toward something. The blinds were open. Sarah stopped in the doorway. She stood there for a moment that was longer than a moment, her cart handle in her hand. The gray Seoul morning pressing flat light through the window she always left covered. She was a practical woman. She did not leave blinds open. She had not left these open. She read the room the way you read a room when some part of you already knows. Then she stepped inside. She reached for her cart. Habit. The anchor of routine when the air in a space has changed and your body needs something familiar to hold. Her hand found the handle. She took one breath, and then the voice came. I need to describe it before I tell you what it said. It was low, roughened by 16 days of disuse, the way a door sounds when it has been closed for a season and someone finally turns the handle. It carried inside it the specific weight of a long silence ending. Not loudly, not with announcement, but with the particular texture of something that has been waiting and has finally, simply decided that the waiting is finished. It said, "You came every night." Sarah went still. Not from fear. Fear moves through the body in a specific way. It quickens things, tightens things, sends the blood toward the hands and feet. This was the opposite of that. This was a stillness deeper than the one she carried into rooms professionally. This was the stillness of a woman whose whole body had just been asked a question she did not have a prepared answer for. She turned, slowly. His eyes were open, dark, exhausted, set in a face that was still bruised at the edges, still carrying the evidence of what the warehouse had done to it. But the eyes themselves, she told me later she recognized what was in them immediately, because she had seen it in her own mirror on the mornings when Seoul felt very far from Accra, and Abena felt very far from her arms. She knew that look. She did not drop her mop. She did not step backward. She looked at him. This man whose name she still did not know, whose life she had prayed over for 16 nights, without a single piece of identifying information. And she answered him. "You heard me?" Her voice did not shake. The monitors kept their rhythm. Outside the window, Seoul moved through its morning with the city's characteristic indifference to whatever was happening in any particular room. Traffic, wind off the river, the world continuing its rotation without them. Then, barely above a breath, every word. Something happened in Sarah's chest in that moment that she has never fully described to me. I know only that she was quiet for a long time, that she looked at him with an expression that the nurses in the hallway, had they seen it, would not have had easy language for. She had prayed over many people, in hospitals, in care homes, in the rooms of strangers across 3 countries. Nobody had ever answered. The silence between them was not uncomfortable. It was the silence of 2 people who have already been more honest with each other than most people manage in years, and are now simply catching up to that fact. He spoke first. "What is your name?" "Sarah," she said. "Sarah Chad." A pause. Then, as if the word needed to be tested before it could be trusted. "Sarah." "And yours?" she asked. "Kim Soo-hyun." The first introduction, exchanged like something given rather than performed. 2 names. I offered across the space between a hospital bed and a cleaning cart, carrying the full improbable weight of everything that had preceded them. He looked at her for a moment longer. Then, quietly, without command, without the authority of the man who ran 5 districts, without anything except the bare, undefended asking of someone who has been alone for longer than he can precisely calculate, "Will you come back tonight?" Sarah looked at him. A long moment, the gray light between them. Seoul outside, indifferent and eternal. Then she picked up her mop. "I'll finish my shift first," she said. And the corner of his mouth, just the corner, just barely, for the first time in 16 days, moved. Has someone ever surprised you with how much they were paying attention? Tell me below. I think more people need to hear it. The doctors arrived at 7 and found their prognosis quietly overturned. They checked their charts. They checked their monitors. They exchanged the particular glance of medical professionals whose careful predictions have been made to look conservative by a body that did not consult them before deciding to recover. They used words like remarkable and ahead of schedule, and spoke about physiotherapy and observation periods with the brisk efficiency of people recalibrating around a new fact. I let them talk. I was thinking about something else. Chaewon came on the 3rd day. He stood in the doorway of room 7 with his face arranged into relief. Well-constructed, almost convincing. He had always been good at arrangement. 15 years at my side had taught him which expressions I responded to and which I did not. I let him finish the expression. Then I said quietly, without raising my voice, "I heard the hallway, Chaewon. All of it." The relief left his face the way water leaves a glass that has been set down too hard. What remained underneath it was something older and plainer. He did not speak. He did not apologize. I had not expected him to. "You can go," I said. "We will discuss the rest when I am out of this bed. But you already know what that discussion will contain." He left. The power had shifted without ceremony, without raised voices, without a single visible thing changing in the room. This is how it always works, when you have enough history with someone. The rearrangement is interior. The exterior catches up later. I did not think about him again that day. Sarah came in the evening, as she always had. The difference now was that I was awake. Visibly, declaredly awake. She stepped through the door and found me sitting up. And for a moment, she paused. A small recalibration, the same way the doctors had recalibrated, except warmer. "You look better," she said. "You sound surprised." "I prayed for it," she said, setting down her cart. "I'm not surprised, just glad." We were careful with each other at first. 2 people who have already been more honest than they planned, edging back toward each other through the ordinary. She cleaned. I watched. Slowly, in the spaces between, we began to talk. I asked about Accra. She answered without performance. The market smells, The particular quality of the light in the late afternoon, the way the city existed in her body as a kind of baseline warmth she carried everywhere cold. I listened in the way I had not listened to anyone in years, without calculating, without deciding in advance what the information was worth. Then she showed me her phone. The photograph was small on the screen. A girl in a yellow dress, gap-toothed, standing in front of a house painted the particular faded orange of somewhere that has held many years of living. She was laughing at something outside the frame. Her whole face was in it. I looked at the photograph for a long time. "Her name?" I asked. "Abena," Sarah said. I said the name quietly. "Once. The way you say a word you want to remember." "Do you miss her?" Sarah looked at me with the complete honesty she had always carried, the honesty I had first heard in the dark, without knowing its face. "Every day," she said. "Like missing a piece of myself that's still alive." The room was quiet for a moment. Then I said something I had not planned to say, something that arrived without permission, the way true things sometimes do when a person has been in a room long enough with someone who does not require anything from them. "I have never missed anyone." A pause. "I think that is the saddest thing I have ever said out loud." Sarah did not rush to fill the silence. She did not offer comfort or contradiction. She simply sat with it. With me, in the particular way of someone who understands that some statements do not need a response so much as a witness. At the end of her shift, she paused at the door. She turned. She looked at me directly, the way she had looked at me on the 17th morning, without flinching, without calculation, and without anything except the steady, clear attention of a woman who had decided, somewhere in 16 nights of praying over a stranger, that this man deserved to be looked at honestly. "I'll pray for you tonight," she said. Not as a cleaning woman, not as a stranger who had stumbled into kindness by accident. As herself, openly, offered across the room like something she was choosing to give, rather than simply unable to withhold. I watched her go. I did not look away until the door closed. Then I sat in the room that had once held only machines and silence, and I thought about a woman who had prayed for me in secret for 16 nights, and was now willing to do it, with my eyes open. I thought about what it meant that this felt, to me, like the braver thing. He was discharged on a Thursday, no press, no ceremony. A black car idling at the side entrance before dawn. A small bag carried by a man who had arrived here with nothing, and was leaving with something he could not name or itemize or protect with the usual methods. The nurses on the night shift watched him go. One of them, the young one who had learned to look for Sarah's smile, said later that he walked differently than she had expected. Not diminished, just changed somehow, in a way that had nothing to do with the physical therapy or the recovery charts. She could not explain it more precisely than that. Neither could I. The last evening, I asked her the question I had been carrying since the 17th morning. We had talked for 3 weeks by then, evening conversations that had grown from careful to comfortable without either of us formally deciding to allow that. She had told me about her faith, not as doctrine, not as argument, but as the thing that had kept her upright in places that had tried to knock her flat. I had listened without agreement or disagreement, simply receiving in the way of a man who has been handed information about a country he has never visited and does not yet know if he will travel to, but is not willing to hand the map back. I had waited for the right moment to ask. On the last evening I asked, "Why did you pray for me?" I said. "You did not know who I was. You did not know what I had done." Sarah was quiet for a moment, the unhurried patience that was simply her nature, the pause of a woman who does not answer questions before she has properly considered them. Then, "I didn't need to know what you had done," she said. "I could see what had been done to you." I received that in silence. It is the truest thing anyone has ever said to me. I have turned it over many times since, in the back of the car, in the penthouse above the city, in the early mornings when Seoul is quiet enough to think. It undoes something every time. The distinction she made, not what I had done, but what had been done to me, was one I had never thought to make for myself. I had always assumed they were the same thing. She separated them in one sentence. She did not know what she had given me. Then I asked the question that cost me something. I felt it. In my jaw, in my hands, in the specific internal resistance of a man asking for something he has no framework for asking. "Would you be willing to speak to me again?" I said, "after today. Not here. Not like this. As people." Sarah looked at me for a long moment. I watched her think, watched her consider her daughter, the distance, the improbability of the thing being proposed, watched her arrive, in her own time, at her own answer. "Yes," she said, simply, completely, without qualification. The car pulled away from the hospital as the city was beginning its morning. Seoul slid past the windows, cold, indifferent, brilliant, carrying its 10 million lives forward without pausing to note that one of them had just changed in a room on the second floor. I looked at my phone. A new contact. Sarah. Below it, a note I had added. Sunday evenings. Abena's call. And beside that, because I am a man who has spent his life in the calculus of possibility rather than certainty, a single question mark. I am 46 years old. Oh, I have commanded men across 5 districts. I have built something that will outlast me. I have never once asked to be included in someone else's ordinary joy. I was considering it now. 3 floors up, in the staff room off the private wing, Sarah Chad changed out of her uniform. She sat for a moment in the particular quiet of a room that has emptied. Then she picked up her phone and pressed record. "Something happened, Mama," she said. "I don't know what it is yet, but I think it's something good." A pause. "Pray with me." Outside, Seoul breathed on, indifferent to miracles, as it had always been. Inside room 7, the bed was empty. Machines were gone, the blinds were open, and the gray November light filled the space in flat, honest lines. The same light that had always been waiting on the other side of those closed blinds, patient as grace. The room held nothing now, except everything that had happened in it. And if you stood very still in that light and listened for the right thing, beneath the hum of the corridor and the distant sound of the city, you might still hear it. A woman's voice, steady, unhurried, certain, asking God to be gentle with a broken man. He was. He heard her, and nothing, in that room or in either of them, was ever quite the same again. Don't go anywhere just yet. There's another story sitting right on your screen, and it was put there for a reason. Click it and see why. You've got time for one more. And if this channel has given you something today, a feeling, a thought, something you want to pass on, then subscribe, ring that bell, and make this a place you return to. Every time you open the app, there should be something here waiting for you. And there will be. New stories, real emotions, every single time. We're glad you're here, family. Now go watch the next one.